Reverse Nordic Curls, one of the best quad and especially rectus femoris exercises out there. Especially when it comes to body weight or body weight based exercises, I should say, because as you can see me do here, I'm using some bands because I want to get some higher reps, and also this exercise is so insanely stretch biased, which of course is a good thing, but it makes it so if you're not really used to that, without taking some emphasis away from the stretch, it might be overwhelming. Especially to be just able to do the movement and to feel okay on your joints, because if you're not used to having such high forces at the very stretched position, it might be a bit awkward. So if you warm up to it, it's gonna make you more resilient and it's gonna grow a shit ton of muscles. So I definitely recommend it. And yeah, it's still gonna be stretch biased when you're using bands, because it is just so stretch biased that maybe you're going from it being 10 times harder in the bottom to it being 3 times or 4 times harder, which is still very good. And you can of course also add weight in terms of putting a plate on your chest and holding it there, though for better stability I would probably still use a very thin band, because then there's not nearly as much side-to-side movement if you have your bands spread like I have here.
Let's go.
And the reason why these are such a great movement, not talking about how you load them, is because of course they are insanely stretch biased, which is a huge bonus. But not only how they're loaded is stretch biased, but you get a ridiculous amount of knee flexion. As you can see, I'm literally sinking my hips down in between my feet, and also your hips are fully extended. So your rectus femoris, which unlike all the other quad heads, is not just a knee extender which gets flexed when you bend your knee, but it's also a hip flexor, so it actually shortens when you flex, so bend your hips, which is bad news on your typical compound movements, because as you're flexing your knee, you're stretching the quads at the knee joint, you're bending your hips also, so you're flexing your hip, which contracts the rectus femoris, and so it gets shorter. At the end of the day, not much is happening. And of course on the concentric, it's the opposite. You're contracting at the knee, but you're shortening at the hip, so give this a try.